Hey guys, what's good? It is January the 27th, 2026. It's Shane's World News Views podcast. This will be the first episode of this week. There will be two, as I did not record one last week. So this episode will make up for last week's news that I missed giving the public, like I always do. I always try to come and present the truth of what's really going on and all the shit that you're being lied to about. I will say that there's not much to report because we're all focused on one thing anymore, and it's ICE. What ICE is doing, and specifically what ICE is doing in the state of Minnesota. And before I get to that, let me just start off with the greatest president of all time, Donald J. Trump. He was in Davos, Switzerland last week for the World Economic Forum. It's an event where you're loaded with all kinds of globalists, presidents from different countries, could be governors, like that trash bag Gavin Newsom was there from California. But President Trump, he was there, and he gave a speech, and basically, he touched on the topic of Greenland with all the stuff of, President Trump would like to have the United States take over Greenland. At the same time, he wanted to let all of these leaders know that there was going to be no force in doing it. There's going to be no force like in us invading Greenland and going to war just to overtake Greenland. That's not going to happen. And then he got into conversations with different leaders from other countries, and they're working on stuff where the United States, at some point, maybe they will take over Greenland, or they'll have a big influence of what is going on in Greenland in the future. And we'll see what happens. I mean, nothing is etched in stone yet, but Trump, he cleared that up. He said, we're not sending our troops in to overtake Greenland. That's not going to happen. He said we want to do this the right way, but he feels that we should overtake Greenland, I believe, to prevent Russia and China from doing so. And we would be better suited for leading Greenland in the future. So again, we'll see what happens with that. Okay. Speaking of President Trump, I believe he's doing a rally tonight in Iowa. So he flew there this morning. And so, President Trump, he's always on the move. He's always dealing with the fake news, unfortunately, and all these sick globalists and all these sick people that are really criminals. They're the real criminals, and they're trying to come after Trump all these years with all this bullshit and fake news and smearing President Trump and sending him to trials and all this crap to try to put him in jail. And that they didn't want to have him run again, obviously, as a president for the second term. And look, President Trump again is the greatest president of all time. And let's just lead into this business with what's going on with ICE in Minnesota. There was another idiotic whack job that was killed the last few days. Like I say, look, I'm not rooting for people to do dumb shit and have ICE decapitate them, okay? But we do have people doing dumb shit, and this is a couple of people that have now been decapitated because they've done dumb things. And this is a guy that was a nurse, okay? And he basically, he showed up, he was protesting, he was antagonizing ICE, and then the story is, he had a pistol on him. And in the state of Minnesota, you have to show proof. You have to show licensing of that gun for it to be legal. You can't just, people are saying like, oh, it's going against Second Amendment rights that this guy couldn't have just had a gun on him for protection. In the state of Minnesota, there are laws where you have to prove to have that gun by law. And he did not do that. He was warned to take that gun out of his hand when they tussled to the ground, when he tussled to the ground with ICE agents. And I don't know. Look, there's different views. There's different video footage going around. Look, I would say there's a good chance, that, and again, President Trump says this is under investigation. It will be continued under investigation to make sure if things were done correctly by the ICE agents. I think it just seems like this guy, he had his hand on his gun. And look, officers, I've seen tons of videos, okay, in my life where police officers, okay, and I've said this in previous episodes I've done on this podcast, that I don't agree with the officers, the way that they handle it, whether it's beating the shit out of somebody, whether it's killing somebody. Obviously, you don't want to do that. You want, if anything, you want to take them into custody if they've performed a criminal act and make them serve time. But the last thing you want to do is actually kill somebody. But what do you think is going to happen when somebody has a gun and they have their hand on it in some fashion, whether it's pointing at an agent or not, regardless, and they tell you to take your hand off of that gun? These guys are trained to kill, man. When we're talking about force, the same thing with the lady, good, okay, that was coming at the ICE agent, and everybody was trying to make up a story and say, oh, the ICE agent was never even in front of the vehicle, he shot from the side. Yeah, he did shoot from the side after he jumped out of the way of being in front of the fucking vehicle where this lady had no problem trying to run him over and kill him. And she was warned multiple times, get out of the car, get out of the car. You're going to be arrested. Get out of the car. She didn't listen. She listened to her girlfriend say, move, go, whatever she said to her in terms of leaving the scene after impeding ICE business. And this is what these people do. These are agitators, man, being funded by whoever, Soros or whoever. I'm sure tons of names I don't even know. Soros' name is the one that most logically pops up. Just Democrat. The Soros family, his George Soros and his son Alex. Look, I don't know who exactly is definitively funding these people. I just know that the majority of these people in Minnesota that are out there standing in fucking freezing weather, like the other night, I think they were out there in minus 14 degree weather. Bro, you're not out there just for shits and giggles, okay? You're out there because you're getting funded to be out there. And this money must be pretty good for these people to agree to go out there and impede in, ICE agents' business. And again, the ICE agents are there because they are put out there by President Trump's orders to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, not the Trump law. This is the Constitution, the United States law that says illegals cannot be in this country, okay? They cannot be in this country. So they're out there trying to capture criminals, illegal criminals, and a lot of these people have done a lot of bad things, bro. These illegals, like, these aren't just nice people. Some are, unfortunately, and then they gotta pay the price. They gotta go back and come into this country legally. But a lot of these people are, child molesters, rapists, killers, drug dealers, all kinds of crazy shit. So these are bad people. So you have all these idiots that are okay with going and taking this funded money, and then they'll tell you, and they're all influencers too, bro. They're all on Facebook, they're all on YouTube, they're all on TikTok, and they're all putting their fucking videos, and they're all saying the same shit. They're all repeating the same lines when people like this die, okay? And again, this guy made a mistake. That's why he's dead, okay? So now look, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. Like, it is a tough video. If I'm watching it, I have seen a still picture where it looks like he is holding a gun. Now, I'm not saying he pointed it at an agent, okay? But the point is, he had a pistol in his hand. And why is he out there, especially without a fucking license or something that he could prove to the police? I'm entitled to have this weapon on me right now. And why is he out there other than to possibly do something really fucking stupid? So again, the minute that you have a weapon on a police officer, an ICE agent, they're going to tell you, put it down. They're going to warn you usually. And if you don't listen, it don't matter. They're going to usually fucking decapitate you. And when they shoot to kill. So that's why the bullets keep coming. So I don't know how many bullets hit this guy. It was a bunch. They just kept shooting them because they want to make sure they're shooting to kill when you're threatening, if you're some kind of a threat. So again, I've seen tons of footage that I disagree with in terms of law enforcement, where I say they went way beyond what they should have done. Like a guy that was detained by 5 cops maybe, and like they still shot him and killed him, and the guy had like no gun or weapon, or they said he was resisting or whatever. I mean, come on, bro. Like if a guy's on the ground, you're not supposed to resist. But if there's several cops there, he's got no weapon on him. I'm just making up something, but this shit like this has happened. Then I would say no, you're crazy as a cop to do that, to perform that fucking horrific act. But in instances like this, again, where you're coming at these people with weapons, gun or car, okay, you're gonna get fucking killed. It's your own stupidity. And then this has become a political thing that they've turned this into now. Like, oh, okay, let's go and let's try to get as many votes as we can for the midterms for the Democrats, thinking that like, oh, okay, ICE agents are bad, police officers are bad, Donald Trump is bad. Meanwhile, it's the opposite, folks. You guys, look, if you want to take illegal money, eventually God knows everything that's going on. Trust me, he knows everything that's going on. And whether you pay now or you pay later, you're going to pay, okay? If you've done bad things in this world, on this earth, to get to the eternal life, you're going to pay a price, okay? So I can't guarantee you when that's going to happen. They call it karma, okay? And, again, it hits because I know people that have done bad shit and karma has hit them. And it could be getting sick, getting cancer, getting, I don't know, getting, whatever, getting in a car crash and dying or whatever, but karma comes in different ways. And karma will come to all these people that have done all this bullshit, especially in that state. And they are investigating Ilhan Omar, the corrupted congresswoman in Minnesota, along with they need to, continue pursuing all those scumbags, Keith Ellison and Jacob Fry and fucking Tampon Tim Waltz. These people are all corrupt, okay? But now, supposedly, President Trump had a talk with Tampon Tim and Jacob Fry, okay? So the governor and the mayor of the state of Minnesota, and supposedly they're going to work together on, getting the criminals, which is the reason ICE is there, and detaining the criminals and getting them out instead of fighting ICE, okay? And basically, he took the commander of ICE, Greg Bavino, who I think has been doing a tremendous job, and he sent him back to California to handle ICE business over there. And then he's got in touch with the border czar, Tom Homan, and he sent him to Minnesota to try to, lead the ICE agents and what's going to happen going forward. So, guys, look, we're at a situation right now where, again, it's this is what the news has been, man, for the last couple of weeks. I feel like they're hiding news or something because there's been like nothing. Of course we have. There was an incident, okay, also in Minnesota where you had these morons all go and march into a church, okay, where people are going to practice religion, okay, and spend their time with God, and these morons, these fucking agitators, come in there and they're protesting ICE inside the church. So they got 3 of these people, I believe it was, and they felt were the leaders of this. Whatever you want to call it, this agitator movement that they did in the church, and they arrested them. They were arrested. Then you had a judge come and say, no, they're not arrested. Get them out of jail. So now these assholes that were a part of this, and there's this one idiot, this fucking clown. I don't even want to give this guy any publicity. Anyway, you guys would all know who I'm talking about. He's got the fucking long hair and the facial hair, and he looks dirty as fuck. This scumbag, he's all over the place in Minnesota and causing problems, and he's already been arrested multiple times. And anyway, look, again, guys, these guys are paid agitators, and look, a lot of these people, the majority, they probably know what they're pushing is wrong, and what they're pushing is lies, but they're okay with it because they're getting funded. I don't know how much money, but they're getting funded a lot of money. It's like the same thing that was going on with Kamala Harris when she was running for president, and they want to make you think that all these people are going to her rallies, okay? But meanwhile, they were busing people. There's documentation, there's emails, there's videos, okay, of people that were being flown in and bussed in from state to state that were showing up at the rallies. So they were paying these people to go to her events and make it look like she had like all this, popularity, which she does not. She's a clown. And in a real election, Donald Trump demolished her. And actually, he probably won every fucking state. The only states in question are Democrat states where they weren't even actually like looking at voter ID so to make sure like who you were. Like, who knows what was going on there? I mean, and I saw videos of people talking shit like, hey, I went in, they said, no, I don't even have to show my ID to vote, like in New York and different places, different spots in New York. So then you now have Democratic cities like Buffalo, New York, I know is one, where they're actually telling their police not to cooperate with ICE agents. Federal law state law does not overtake federal law. So federal law will say ICE goes into Buffalo or wherever, and you're going to have to cooperate. So no matter all the bullshit that they try to pull, like this little shit that's going on right now in some of these cities, it ain't going to work. ICE is going to go where they need to go and get illegals and capture them and criminals and take them out and get them the fuck out of this country. So anyway, but guys, I feel like this is what I've been watching for the last few weeks. And in reality, that's really it. I mean, usually there's different kinds of stories, or there's batshit crazy stories, which I don't like to get in. I don't like to have those. I don't like to have crazy stories where I tell you a guy went and shot up 20 people, or you know what I'm saying? Like, thank God I really haven't heard any of those stories the last few weeks. Now, maybe they're not telling us those stories. Maybe they're there, and because they just want to focus on what's going on with ICE in Minnesota, that's really what it seems like is going on. It's just all ICE in Minnesota. I hope that the great Mike Lindell, okay, the Pillow Man, whatever you want to call him, I hope that he does win governor of Minnesota, as he is going to run for governor. And, because Tim Walz, Tampon Tim, is going bye-bye. And I would love to see Mike Lindell, because Mike Lindell is a really good man, and he really loves the state of Minnesota, and he really loves President Trump, and he really loves our Constitution and doing things by the book and making America great. That's it. So I would love to see Mike Lindell eventually be the governor of Minnesota. And I mean, guys, we'll see what happens with all this stuff. Again, the wars, Ukraine, Russia there's been no peace agreement yet. We'll see what happens in Iran. We'll see if they continue, if they're going to kill people, then they're going to face some shit. They've stopped, I guess, for now, killing protesters, what they were doing, because Trump warned them, if you keep doing this, there's going to be an issue. Like, we're going to come in and we're going to take care of business. We're going to wipe you out, if you keep doing this bullshit and killing innocent people. So look, guys, I honestly I made a comment that I feel like if there was something that I could change in, the Constitution, it would be, as far as freedom of speech is great, but protesting to me is gets to be crazy. Cause you could just protest all night long, and I mean, all this heckling and shit, and then it turns into all this crap. But a lot of these people that are part of these protests, the majority of them are agitators. They are paid agitators. They're paid to be evil. They're paid to say bad things. They're paid to start altercations. So it's kind of different than your regular protester that's just kind of going out there that really cares about a certain somebody dying or whatever, and they protest it. But that would be the one thing I would try to wipe out, is protests. I just think protests are fucking whack. They're and it just people with too much time on their hands protest. Okay, that's my opinion. Now, nothing to do with freedom of speech. You should always have freedom of speech to say whatever you want to say. But of course, you can't threaten people. But other than that, freedom of speech, it's a go. Whatever you think, whoever you don't like, whoever you like, make it known. But too many people are being fucking lied to for years and years, and they're just going to believe the people that are saying what they want to hear for the side politically that they support. Where somebody like me, I'm not I'm more Republican, obviously, because I'm a Trump supporter. But remember, Donald Trump used to also be a Democrat. Okay, so the thing is, I'm for, again, people doing things right in this country. I don't give a shit if you're Republican, Democrat, or whatever. Neither. Whatever. Okay, I am just for people doing things right in this country by the law, and not these fucking politicians and others in other fields abusing and taking money, stealing money, money laundering, taking bribes just to keep another public or another political affiliation in power over another, because they think it's okay to, break the law and make millions of more dollars in their pocket and know that they're doing the wrong thing. Again, like I said, God knows exactly what you're doing. He knows what everybody did. So you're all going to pay the price sometime. You might not be sleeping in heaven in the eternal life. You may be sleeping in hell for sure. For some of the shit that's gone on, it's insane. And again, there needs to be accountability. I say this again and again. And look, they keep coming after Trump administration people that are doing good things. Kristi Noem and Stephen Miller, and there's so many. And look, there's questioning in certain people like Pam Bondi, like she says things like people are going to be held accountable, people are going to pay the price, but like we're still waiting. So like we want to see people that have done bad things, and you have the evidence that they did these bad things. This is not just hearsay. This is like we have proof, and there's still nobody that's like really facing accountability. And let me go back again. We had 7 Democrats this last week as part of a vote they approve more ICE agents. Can you imagine that? 7 Democrats. And of course, they're getting fucking slammed. Cuellar is one of them. Henry Cuellar. Look, I used to write all this shit down, and I don't write it down anymore. So I can't remember every other name. I just could tell you that 7 Democrats were part of this with Republicans that approve of more ICE agents. Go figure. More ICE agents. And look, John Fetterman, I don't think he was part of that vote, actually. I'm not sure. I don't think he was. But Fetterman, this guy, he really is talking a lot of good things, man. And he wants to see betterment for this country. He isn't saying anything about jumping over and being classified as a Republican, but he wants to be, have the Democratic side do things by the law. And he's really calling out a lot of the shit that's gone on there, like especially with the open borders and, all this batshit crazy stuff that's going on with the ICE agents. So he's basically saying, hey, this Democratic Party is doing a lot of crazy shit, and I'm not a part of this. Like I'm not for this. So people like him, we need all these people to stop taking these bribes. We need people to do things by the law, which they should. If you have a sane mind and a heart, you should be wanting to do things by the law. And that's it. Okay. So look, I don't really think there's anything else I need to touch on. I could keep just touching on this stuff over and over again. But anyway, I will bring up one sports thing here in this podcast, which I only bring up the big stuff, like in terms of championship games and stuff like that. So you did have the Indiana Hoosiers beat the Miami Hurricanes in the national championship of college football last week. So the Indiana Hoosiers are your national champions, and led by quarterback Fernando Mendoza, who will be the Las Vegas Raiders quarterback very shortly. And that's my team that I cheer for in the NFL. Of course, you all know that. And look, I'm doing a monthly podcast on all of my favorite sports teams. So for people that are fans of the New York Yankees, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Chicago Bulls, and the Chicago Blackhawks, I will have a month. I'm in the process already of a monthly podcast for all of those teams, and I will do one per month remaining for all those teams. And like this, normally I try to come every week. If I don't, like this past week, I will do 2 to make up for the one that I missed. So anyway, guys, I think that's it for this week. I'm going to have more on the weekend, Saturday. I think I'll have another one out and, touch on anything else that's new or updated from this episode today. So I'll see you on the next one. All right. See ya.